Okay, so in this lesson we're going to learn how to solve for a missing angle in a right triangle using trig ratios. We're going to do the same thing we did in the previous lesson. Now, I do have the calculator downloaded, so if you see this section right here, I can actually show you how to do this. So if you go to your calculator, if you have an iPhone, I hope you downloaded this app at this point in time. If not, it is called Calculate 84. So in order to change the mode, you want to click mode. That's right here. You can see it's highlighted and clicking it. And you can see that this is highlighted. It's in radian mode. Now, on your iPhones, you're not going to be able to tap. Oh, you might be able to actually. But anyway, scroll down, scroll to the right. Make sure you hit enter. That's going to change where it highlights. So now it's in degree mode. Okay, so let's come back to this. Whoops. Okay, this is a review of yesterday, the do now, and yesterday, hello. It's all the same day to me. I don't really know what day it is anymore. We're going to skip over that for now. If you need more help with this, finding a side, please go back to the video from lesson 2. Now, how to use the calculator for finding a missing angle. There's a lot of annotations that you'll see here that you might not be used to. When you are solving for an angle, you're going to use what we call the inverse trig function. That's what this -1 is here. That's the inverse of sine, the inverse of cosine, and the inverse of tangent. In order to find these values, you're going to hit this second button and then the trig function. So for example, we look at choice A, or question A, whatever. We have the inverse sine is equal to 1/2. So what we're trying to figure out is what angle measure, so we're solving for an angle measure, will be equal to 1/2, with the opposite side being 1 and the hypotenuse being 2. So we're going to go to our calculator and let's clear this out. And we're going to hit second right here. So you see second, it's red now. And then you're going to hit sine. So you see it comes up as sine -1. And then all you're going to do is you're going to put your fraction in, or your decimal, whatever it may be, and you hit enter, and it's 30 degrees. Okay, so we come back, and this is equal to 30 degrees. So we're going to write that in here. So the inverse sine of 1/2 is equal to 30 degrees. Now you can all I'm not going to switch back and forth. I will switch back and forth when we do actual problems, but for now I just want to get the answers up here. You can do them yourself and see if they match. Let's see here. Inverse cosine of 1/2 is equal to 60 degrees. Inverse tangent of 4 divided by 7 is equal to 29, we're rounding to the 100th, so 29.74 degrees. Okay. Inverse sine of 12/16, 48.59 degrees. Inverse cosine of 40/50, 36.87 it looks like. And inverse tangent of 8/15 is 28.07 degrees. Okay. So how are we going to use this to find a missing angle measure? Well, we're obviously going to be setting up this fraction. Okay, I missed the fraction there. Whoops. We're going to be figuring out, based on a triangle, what this fraction is. All 6 of these, and we're going to use the calculator just like we did for those. So if we look at this example, how can we use trig ratios to solve for an acute angle? What we're going to do, we're going to do exactly what we did for the missing sides. We're going to set up a trig ratio equation. So you can see that we're going to be solving for this angle here. So our point of view is based on this angle. In this triangle, we have the hypotenuse and we have the adjacent side. Therefore, based on SOHCAHTOA, let me write that again, SOHCAHTOA, we have A and H, so we're going to use cosine. Okay. Set up an equation using these sides and the missing angle, then solve for theta. In this case, our theta is x, and that's okay. So we have the cosine of x is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Now the way we're going to solve this equation, there's no cross multiplying or anything like that. We're going to take the inverse of it. So essentially what we're doing, and you're not going to have to write this each time, but just to show you, cosine -1 of cosine. And same thing here, we're going to take the cosine, inverse cosine. So just like inverses where we have multiplication and division, addition and subtraction, squaring, square root, our inverse cosine and our cosine cancel each other out, and we're left with our x. So x is equal to the inverse cosine of 6/12. And once we're here, we go right to the calculator. So I'm going to switch to the calculator, and we're going to do the inverse cosine of 6 divided by 12. So second cosine, 6 divided by 12, and that's 60. We come back, and x is equal to 60 degrees. So our angle measure is 60 degrees. Okay. Now we're going to do some practice. Okay, remember, at any point in time, you can go back and look at a question again. Listen to me explain it one more time. Okay, so we're looking at this angle here. This is our hypotenuse. So from this angle, we have opposite and adjacent. So SOHCAHTOA says, because we have the opposite side and the adjacent side, we're going to use tangent. So tangent of x is equal to the opposite side 20 divided by the adjacent side 37. So we know that x is going to be equal to the inverse tangent of 20 divided by 37. And again, we go right to our calculator. Inverse tangent 20 divided by 37. And we get 28.393,019, blah, blah, blah. I don't really remember what we were rounding to, so let's cut it off 28.3930. So, hundredth, okay, hundredth. So x equals 28.3930. So the hundredth place, we're going to have two decimals. So x is equal to 28.39 degrees. Okay. Number 2, we're looking at this angle, and this is our hypotenuse. Okay, so we're definitely going to use one of our trig functions with a hypotenuse. And we have, based on this angle, we have this side, so that's adjacent. So that's going to be cosine. So cosine of x is equal to 25. The adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse, 40. We take the inverse of both sides, and x is going to be equal to inverse cosine of 25 divided by 40. We go to our calculator. Second cosine, 25 divided by 40. 51.3178. We went around to two decimal places. That's the hundredths. 7 is 5 or higher, so it's going to be 51.32. I don't know why that just turned pink. I don't know what I just did. 51.32 degrees. Now remember, if you didn't print these out, try to draw the triangles. And really try to do this work before I'm doing it. Pause me. Don't listen to the whole thing. See if you could do it yourself. Watch one example, do a problem, come back, look at the video, check your work, and do it kind of like that. Next question, number 3. We are looking at this angle here. So that's a question mark. I mean, it's just the actual website I use. So let's call it an X. 1 second. So we're looking at this angle. Here's our right angle. So hypotenuse is 18. And we're looking at this side with the 13, so that's adjacent. So cosine, because it's A and H, adjacent and hypotenuse, of our missing angle is equal to 13 divided by 18. And therefore x is equal to the inverse cosine of 13 divided by 18. Go to our calculator. Cosine 13 divided by 18. 43.761, so that's 43.76. Okay. Now, students solve for x in the problem below. Look at their work to see if they are correct. So let's see if they're correct. We're solving for this missing angle here. Okay, we have this right angle over here, therefore this is our hypotenuse. And this is our opposite side. Now, you can see here that because it's O and H, we should be using sine, okay? But a common mistake that is made is that because the hypotenuse is also adjacent to the angle, students mistake that for the adjacent side. But always remember, you find your hypotenuse first. If it is the hypotenuse, it is not the adjacent side. So instead of tangent, the correct work is to use the sine. So the correct or incorrect in explanation, if you are doing this yourself, you would have said that the student used tangent instead because they used the hypotenuse as the adjacent side. So we have the sine of our missing angle is equal to the opposite side, 51, divided by 54. X is equal to the inverse of that. And so therefore, second, what is this? That's not what I want to do. Second, nope, second sine, I forgot what it was now. 51 over 54. 51 divided by 54. And that's 70.81 degrees. Okay. Now you can see I'm still rounding to the hundredth. They rounded to the nearest whole number. If we were to do that, we would have 71 degrees. So it doesn't specify, so that's okay. And then this here is a Regents question. Last one we will do in this video. In the diagram of right triangle ABC shown below, AB is equal to 14 and AC is equal to 9. What is the measure of angle A? So once you read that, you want to say, okay, where is angle A? I want to find it. It's here, looking at that angle. And now we know that our right angle is here, so this is our hypotenuse. And we have this side, so that's our adjacent side. That therefore means we're going to use cosine. So the cosine of angle A is equal to the adjacent side 9 divided by 14. So A is equal to inverse cosine of 9 divided by 14. Go to our calculator. Inverse cosine 9 divided by 14. That's 49.99. So to the nearest degree is going to be 50 degrees. So the measure of angle A is choice 3, 50 degrees. Okay, that's it for this lesson.